Jacob Willoughby. I'm a Vice President of Research here at Red Cloud Securities and a mining analyst. Very pleased to be hosting our Summer Silver Conference with many great silver companies. Now we have a relatively new one, and we have David Stein, who is president of the company, to tell us all about the story.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. All right, so I'm going to talk about Kuya Silver, and I'm the president, David Stein, and founder of the company. And Kuya is actually not public yet, so you cannot buy any shares, but we are in the process of doing an RTO. So we hope to be public in the next few months. In the meantime, I'm very happy to tell the story. What I'll do today, given the time that we have, is I'll just give a brief overview of our kind of strategy and vision for the company, and then a bit of an update of where we are with the RTO. I'll mix that all in together, and then we should have some time for questions if you have any. So there's our disclosures. The presentation is available as a handout, I believe. So feel free to download it yourself, or you can also get it from our website, kuyasilver.com. So Kuya, I would say we're quite different than a lot of the other, kind of junior silver companies out there, in the sense that we're very production focused. We've got a recently producing mine that we're acquiring, and we intend to put it back into production, very quickly, expanding it and adding a plant to make more money, but production nonetheless. And that's really our focus. We've got great exploration potential at the property as well, but again, we spend a lot of time thinking about and planning how and when we're going to get into production. So what our flagship asset is the Bethania Silver mine in central Peru, and it was producing until 2016 as a toll milling operation. So they were mining this very high grade silver polymetallic ore and then having it processed at other mines in the area up to 200 kilometers away. So the travel and the toll milling costs, the loss and recovery, that ate into the margins, and that's something that can be resolved by adding our own mill. So when we were introduced to the project, I guess about 3 years ago now, that was really the key value driver of our acquisition was that we wanted to put a mill there, and we're in the process of doing all the technical and engineering and permitting work to put that mill in next year. We did complete a technical report, our first 43-101 on the property last year, and that is also available on our website for those that are interested. We launched the RTO process. We announced it with Miramont Resources in early June, and we subsequently did a financing that closed about a week ago. We raised 12 million Canadian on the financing. So that's going to put us in very good shape once we list to be able to complete the acquisition and basically finish all the technical work that we need to get ready for construction in 2021. And basically that's what we are working on this year in sort of the present 2020-21. The other thing we'll be doing is we'll be going out into the field very shortly after the RTO is completed, to do a drill program and update our resource estimate, which is currently not 43-101 compliant, but it is in the 43-101 report as a historical resource if you are interested. And yeah, so that's what we're looking at doing. We're very ahead of the game, I would say, on engineering, I should say. We've got our mill design picked. And we're going to be doing a 3-stage flotation. We're going to recover copper and gold for the first time ever from this ore. So previously they only were able to recover silver, lead, and zinc. So we can increase our revenue by recovering copper and gold as well, which we do have in the ore. And it's very exciting to be able to look at getting this thing into production. We think it's very profitable, even a few months ago when silver price was $16, $17, and obviously with it at 23, 24 today, that's amazing. I'm going to skip to again just to for the sake of time, I'll show you where the mine is located. And so I think you can see the pointer. No, there's no pointer. So the large ore cart on this chart, on this map, is Bethania, the Bethania mine. I don't know how many of you were on the call for the very first presentation by Michael Steinman from Pan American, but he actually mentioned the Huancavelica Silver District. And that is actually where our mine is located. We're in Huancavelica department in Peru. There are not a lot of people there anymore, but we do have this really interesting historical mine there that has been producing high-grade silver. So that's where our mine is. You can actually fly to Huancayo and then drive to the mine. It's about a 3-hour drive from Huancayo City. Huancayo is actually a pretty big city in Peru. It's about 500,000 people, and it's about a 45-minute flight from Lima. So very easy to access. I will say that COVID-19 has impacted us in Peru. Peru, as you may or may not know, was actually very early to lock down. They locked down the country around the same time we did in mid-March. But because of the large amount of the informal economy there, it hasn't really worked very well, and they've actually had a lot of cases, certainly far more than we've had in Canada. We have similar populations, so that's been tough. But nevertheless, the government has been really pushing to open the mining industry. Obviously, mining is a huge contributor to GDP into Peru, so it's a very important part of their opening plan. And so now all companies, including mining companies, have a sort of a health and safety protocol that you have to file with the government to take into account COVID-19, and so that's what we'll be doing over the next month or so that we can get back into the field as soon as the RTO is done. We don't have any numbers on this slide, but we do model our costs, and we think for our Bethania mine, our costs will be among the lowest in the industry for the pure silver producers, and that's for a number of reasons. First of all, we've got very high grades, and so that's a good thing. We've got not only the high silver grades, but also we've got significant lead, zinc byproducts, and a little bit of copper and gold as well, as I mentioned earlier. We have no royalties on the project, no private royalties. So there's obviously your government royalty, which is kind of like a tax. But other than that, there's no royalties on the property, which is very unusual. And our mining is very shallow. So it is an underground mine, but the stopes where we're going to be mining are very close to surface. So our haulage and our efficiency we expect to be very high. Haulage costs are very low. And the difference from when this was in production before and now really has to do with putting that plant at site. It saves us, we think, about $5 an ounce all in between treatment, processing, and eliminating the long haul transportation costs. And so between those three things, we figure that's about a $5 an ounce savings, which makes a big difference. Obviously, when you're producing silver. All right, the last thing I'll probably talk about is our exploration. So this is a long section of our mining property. So this is permitted for production right now. So the permitting I mentioned earlier is really for the plant, not for the mine. The mine is permitted. So, but what you'll see here is that Those horizontal black lines are where those are the main horizontal levels that we've been producing from up until 2016. The lowest two levels are really where the production has been happening, and that's what would continue when we restart, at least in the short term. At the very bottom of the mine, we still have very high grade samples, and I put some examples on the map for you to look at of some of the grades that we'd be getting. Obviously, those are high, but nevertheless, it shows you that we've got mineralization right at the bottom of the mine, and it's open at depth, which is important. We've got 7 subparallel veins that are all kind of superimposed on one another in this long section. 2 of them are bigger and thicker than the others, and then there's 5 that sort of are in between, like branches in between the two major veins. And that's where we've been mining. That's where our resources are going to be initially. We do feel like we've got very good potential at both at depth and along strike. Everything's open. This property really hasn't been explored in the way that Canadian would explore it. They lots of drifting along veins. In fact, we've got 6 kilometers of horizontal workings, but basically no drilling. So we're going to get in there and drill and continue the veins at depth and also extend them along strike. That's our priority to do once we complete the RTO. We want to do that so that we can, obviously, that information will be useful both for planning the mining and also for potentially extending the mine life and even looking at an expansion to an even larger mining scenario down the road. You know what? I think I'll leave it at there. In the presentation that you guys can download, you'll see I've got some commentary at the end on silver. I won't go through it here today, but because you've probably been inundated with lots of silver macro today. But I am very bullish on silver. But more importantly, I think silver is a very small space where there's not a lot of investment options, and so when investors do get really excited about silver, they're going to be driven into very few companies, and we're going to be one of them. So very excited to get out and get this company public. I guess the last thing I'll say, just a bit of an update on the RTO. The company we're amalgamating with, Miramont, did call a shareholders meeting for September 14th. So we would be looking to get our final approvals after that shareholders meeting, and that's sort of our timeline to be up and trading at the moment. And that's really it. So,
hey, great, David. Maybe you could talk to us about who the shareholders, some of the shareholders are, and the insider ownership of the company?
Sure. I'm the biggest shareholder, and I think after we amalgamate with Miramont, the insiders are going to own a total of about 28-ish% of the company, and that's a lot of that is me. The other shareholders, as a private company, we did have Eric Sprott as an investor, and so I think he would be second or third largest shareholder, maybe third largest now. And then we had some new institutional investors come in a pretty big way in our recent $12 million financing as well. So we've got a nice mix. We do have quite a few retail shareholders, accredited investors that came on both when we were private and also in this recent financing as well.
Right, and so the company you're hoping will get the approvals at the shareholder meeting with Miramont. I think you said in early September. Does the company have a ticker yet? People can look
we've for? Reserved Kuya as our ticker, KUYA. Okay. So as far as I know, that will be our ticker.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think when we spoke, you actually mentioned that Kuya was chosen as the name of the company for a specific reason. It has a meaning in Spanish, or is it Quechua?
It's Quechuan, actually. So yeah, so where we are in central Peru, the indigenous language is Quechuan, so the word Kuya means a mine. So
Right.
so that's how we picked the name.
Right. And maybe you could tell us about how this opportunity came across you and your close network back 3 years ago, basically, I think, when you said you were first introduced to it.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was basically looking for investments myself to make, and at the time I had I guess a bit of a bias towards looking at private equity style opportunities, having been through the horrendous bear market that we'd been through from, I guess, 2012 to recently. So I was looking at I guess kind of under the radar private equity style deals, and came across this mine that was in need of financial restructuring, frankly, but had some really great potential. One of my colleagues down in Peru, who's now working with us on Kuya, his name's Christian Aramayo. He is a former Kinross project engineer. He's living down in Lima now, and he actually introduced it to me. And so then we've been working on it together for the past 3 years. And, at the time back in 2017, we were actually looking at a bunch of stuff together. And then I was looking at some others in Latin America specifically. And then I was looking at some stuff in Canada, the US. And this project was just so much better than anything else I was looking at the time that I decided to essentially dedicate myself to this project.
Right. And, one of the things I get asked a lot as a mining analyst, and I'm sure you have too, is when you come across a great opportunity like this, the sort of naysayers want to know, well, if this is so great, how come I've never heard of it before? Or how come it was never in a bigger company or anything like that? And I think there's a story behind it at Kuya.
Yeah. Well, I mean, interestingly, I think if you look at a lot of exploration assets, you'll find that they've been in public companies maybe 2 or 3 times before now. This asset's never been in a public company. It's your typical kind of undercapitalized Latin American mine, which we've seen companies like Pan American and First Majestic. They started their companies with similar opportunities. Small, undercapitalized, high-grade silver mines in either Peru or Mexico, and you bring better access to capital by accessing the public markets, which is what we're doing now. And you can expand these. You can drill. You can do proper exploration and increase the size. And it's really, to me, it's a great platform to build a company. So. So when people say, why haven't they heard it? Well, you know what? There's probably other mines like this around. Maybe fewer than there were 20 years ago, but but they are out there, and it's just because they're small that no one's bothered to really look at the exploration potential and the production potential.
Yeah, and some of them, they sort of they mine what they can see, and then they drill a little bit more, and then they kind of do the same thing. And that's maybe the opportunity here, is to drill it out a bit and get it back into production, and look to find the optimum level of production that will generate the best return for your shareholders.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think we can grow this thing like substantially, like multi times how big it is today. But that being said, I mean, it's this is about producing silver at a low cost, making cash flow, and then what we do with that cash flow. We can obviously explore regionally and create a bit of a hub there in central Peru. We can also go elsewhere and look at other projects. We do want to stay true to silver. I really want to keep Kuya as a silver dominated company. And we've got an asset that's 65% silver to start off with, which is amazing.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much for joining us today, David. And I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the work getting the company over the line on the RTO. And we'll look forward to seeing your results.